quick opening statement, and we'll open up for questions.
Wow, it feels good to be back home, to have an unbelievable crowd. I thought it was huge, especially when we needed a lift. So proud of so many people, but I'm going to keep saying it. This feels so good because I have a team. I've talked to them about it could be a different person night in and night out. And Jessica Carter, hello, okay, 24 and 11. And then Jerkayla Jordan, I've been on her. I don't know what she said in the press conference, but me and her have a lot of moments where I'm like, Jerk, I need you to rebound. You've got more talent. She does things like I keep saying that I've never seen some female players do. She reminds me of D. Wade, and I tell her, you got more in the tank, and boy, was she huge tonight. So also proud of some other unsung heroes I talked about before the game. Mia Moore, even though it was 1 minute and 31 seconds, her minutes were huge. Charlie, that play at the end of the second quarter where she just flat out got after defensively. Courtney Weber, big time. And so when you got so many people who can step up night in and night out, and most importantly play together, boy, it's fun to coach, and tonight was one of those nights.
Rob, go ahead.
Do you have an update on Anastasia and Alacia too?
Yeah, so Annie, she's out due to personal matters, nothing disciplinary. No timetable for her return. What was the other one?
Alacia too.
Yeah, she had a concussion in practice.
Okay.
Yeah, so she'll be back. Romani's day to day, and then obviously the heartbreaking news with Danae. So that's why I was so proud of my team. When somebody's out, we all stood up. We're all, thinking about those who weren't here today, and we're one team and one fist. And so again, just so proud of my squad.
What happened in the third quarter, and how did your team turn it around in the fourth?
Well, I just think we've talked about being tough. This is what the SEC is all about. They're going to make runs. We're going to make runs. You're playing at home. We kind of talked about how well we've played on the road, but we also talked about we haven't won an SEC game at home. So for us to come out and get a home win, she's trying to get on TikTok right now. So it was huge. It felt great. It really did. And again, I want to give our fans a shout out. That moment we talked about after South Carolina was unbelievable for them to stand up and cheer, right, and tell our girls they love them. But for us, I talked about that before the game. You know what? You got people who believe. Students were here tonight. Boy, that was awesome. The bottom bowl was just energetic like no other. So we wanted to make sure we came out and give everything we could to show love back to everybody else.
Stefan, go ahead.
Jerkayla explained to us the little mamas.
I knew it was coming. So I do guard post splits. And so the taller players, right, are bigger players, and Jerkayla is in the guard. So sometimes I'm like, well, we got to work on rebounding. And then she tries to, like, are you a guard or you a post? And then I say, you're one of the littler ones. And so that's our little joke in between us. All right. So she was definitely a big player today, and she's gonna let me have it tomorrow. And that's when you coach. That's what life's about. Challenging these players when they're in that age group from 18 to 22, trying to mold in them, tell them they got more. Try not to go at an angle where you're making them mad, but just kind of like, okay, you got more. And so that's one of those moments where now I got to take it because she's climbed the ladder, but she better do it again Sunday.
I guess we had talked a lot about it, during the losing streak, the rebounding struggles. I guess, what does it mean for you to have your team kind of respond in this way and get the rebounding battle these last couple games?
Happy, coach. I know that. I'm going to enjoy tonight. It's big. We talked about this in college athletics. What the best thing about coaching college basketball is it's about peaking at the right time of the year in March. Identifying your weaknesses, understanding what we do well and what we don't. And my team knows. Two things that we don't do well is when you come after us, sometimes we get a little crazy. That happened again tonight. We cleaned it up. I thought we were huge in the fourth quarter, back to your question, Robbie, earlier. And then rebounding. We know if we can rebound, then we have a chance to run and we can get out in the open court, and boy, are we fun to watch. I thought one of the biggest plays of the game for me was when we threw it up the court off a rebound, Asian A drives baseline and hits Alana Smith for that dagger three there in the corner. And then the hump went crazy, and boy, it was a fun night.
You mentioned Asian A, but stepping in that starter's role, you said before all throughout the year that she's a starter anyway, really,
Amen.
even off the bench. But just speak to her stepping into that starter's role tonight, and I think 7 assists or so, or something.
Yeah.
7 rebounds, 5 assists.
Huge. I mean, she came here for the bright lights and big stage. We talked about her leaving New York to come to Mississippi and wanting to play in the SEC. We mentioned before, I've got several players who can start, but she's been the ultimate team player of coming off the bench and being that 6th man of the year. So when the cards were dealt tonight and she needed to step up, I thought she was great. And most importantly, I think the most impressive thing for her, because there was a little nerves, she had some turnovers really early, but you know what? It wasn't how you started, but how you finished. And I thought she finished big time for us to help us get that win tonight.
Alex,
For how the end of the game ended for you guys, especially in the third quarter with Auburn, catching on fire from the field. How big was the defensive stops that you guys had in the first half? Because I think they, for the game, they shot around 40%, but I know in the first half it was 25-20%.
Yeah, it was huge. I'm going to give a shout out to Danae Carter, who's now my assistant coach. She looked at me and she was like, "Coach, where's the juice?" And I said, "Danae, right now, it's not about me. It's about you all. You know what you got to do. You're at home. This has got to be player-led right now. You can control how this game's going to come out. You can control if we're going to be high or we're going to be low. I have the best seat in the house. We've set you up for success. And to your question, Jerk gets an unbelievable tip. We get out in transition. They weren't going to be denied at home. And that's why we were able to come out with a win and put up numbers like we did there in the fourth quarter, 25 points. That's what's scary about this team. No matter how high we're up or how low we are, we're capable of a 30, I call it a 30 piece, all right, in one quarter. And we got 25 tonight, which helped us seal the deal.
Holly, go ahead.
Coach, in the third quarter, Auburn jumped ahead of you guys for the first time since literally the first seconds of the game.
Yeah.
How did you prepare your team to come back and, regroup them and
Yeah, great question. We talked about it. We watched a lot of film on them. I have a lot of respect for Johnny and Auburn, obviously. Fred Williams is a good friend who's an assistant on there, who's a WNBA coach, extremely smart. We go way back. I knew it was going to happen. That's why I wasn't thrown off. And I told my team before the game, they're going to make runs. They're good. And I keep saying it. That's the hard thing when you look at statistics and standings in the SEC. Teams who haven't got a win, there's nothing easy about it. Where I was in the ACC, maybe my last 6 years, if you were at the bottom, that was a game that you knew you were going to come out and probably be up 20 at half. And this league's way too tough. The separation from top to bottom. I mean, you look at us. We gave South Carolina a battle. We played Tennessee. We could have rebounded better, and they're the top. Ole Miss, we were in there till the fourth. Then you got the bottom who's giving us a battle. So night in and night out, the tougher team will be able to win, but you can't base it on standings within the league.
Rob, go ahead.
I space out sometimes, so I'm sorry if you said this earlier, but do you anticipate Danae coming back this year, or what's kind of your thoughts on the timetable?
Yeah, I do. I'm hoping. Let's say that. I'm not a doctor, but we're optimistic.
Was that completely unrelated to her? I know it's the same knee, but
Yeah.
was that completely unrelated?
Yeah.
Grace, go ahead.
Coach Aaron's just talking to us about what it was like to come back here and play in Starkville, but for you, what was it like to get a win over your alma mater?
Oh, great. Yeah, I mean, it's pride, right? I know that question, it's a great storyline for this game. I love, first of all, our fans giving Johnny. I thought it was great when they announced her name and everybody gave love because, again, that's the cloth I'm about. I'm about people. I'm about class. That's what I want my program about. That's who we are here at Mississippi State. So for when that moment happened, it was great. I'm glad to lead Mississippi State in that win. I'm so excited, my wife, and obviously us, right? Come on, we're going to celebrate tonight. Tell them what you wanted already. Get your opportunity. What did you ask me we're going to go do for after the game?
Get ice cream.
Ice cream, okay? But to your question, you know what? I wish them the best of luck because that's who we are as people, whether it's Auburn or anybody in the SEC.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream? What are you getting?
I think cotton candy.
Cotton candy. What you going with?
Ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream sandwich. Okay, how many scoops? 2 or 1?
3.
3. Oh, it was a good night. See, I told you.
It's a 3-scoop night.
3-scoop night. Hey, when Jacayla Jordan rebounds like that, because you got her jersey number, right? All right, then we can have a 3-scoop night for sure.
Stefan, go ahead.
Kind of a question along those lines about Jacayla. You guys have a couple players out tonight. I mean, you know, Jacayla was part of a team last year that, you know, had to understand next man up and,
Yeah.
you know, was really depleted roster. I guess how easy is it to pitch to a player like her, like, all right, we need you to, you know, crash the boards a bit more with Danae out now?
Really good. Yeah, no, it's even before this happened, we've had great heart-to-hearts and talks of just like, Jerry, you got more in you. And we've had film sessions. She's taking coaching hard because that's what I've explained to this team. As hard as the SEC is, you got to take coaching hard. And she's been receptive. So for this moment, before this even happened, we've been honored. And I feel like the last 3 games, she's been really consistent, especially with the minutes I'm giving her. So it's been fun to watch.
Got time for maybe 1 or 2 more?
Jerk had called Jessica the best big in the SEC, I guess. Do you agree with that?
100%. I've been saying it from day one. I do. I believe it with all my heart. Her presence tonight, that's what we need to talk about. She was relentless. There's phases that we don't score, but in the timeouts, this is what I love about Jessica Carter. It's not so much the games. Yeah, the stats take care of itself, but this is what I try to tell every player and every recruit. Yes, you had 24 and 11 when the lights came on, but you know what? Jessica Carter earned that in practice every single day. We had a situation where we had to do a penalty run and sprint. She won and immediately looks at everybody on the team and goes, who's not beating me? Why am I leading? And for her, my post player, the center, to have that kind of effort and that attitude of like, who wants some of me? Who's going to challenge me on the next one is why she comes up with 24 and 11 in a game like this. So definitely got one of the best post players in the country, no doubt.
Rock picks up with Alex.
You guys are back to 500 in SEC play.
Yeah.
You know, strung a few wins together. What do you think are kind of the biggest things that you and the coaching staff are going to focus on moving forward?
People, that's my philosophy. How can I make you better? Where's your mind at? Strengths and weaknesses. There's not like one box for me because especially when you're coaching 18 to 22-year-olds, you got highs and lows, right? You gonna make it? You talking too much? She gives me that sign at home too, like, okay, Dad, I hear you on the phone all the time. Where's my time? Back to your question, sorry. Just making sure we're checking balance. You know, one thing I talked about last week was looking in the mirror. We have to be able to look at a team and go, okay, what are we doing well and feel good about ourselves? All right, keep that wave, keep that juice going. Coaching staff too. And then what are we doing bad? And we always work on our weaknesses, and then we try to magnify our strengths. So that'll be our focus moving forward, continuing after tomorrow.